I didn't want to be like, and Day Day Daddy don't like you, and Shay Shay Daddy
I
don't like you.
can't.
Going to my knees and jumping and flying and flipping and forth. Craig, I need to borrow your VCR right quick. Okay, mother. You want to play with me? Let's go.
Let's go.
It got down to me and Vivica.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
And he was so cute. He was so cute. Bye Felicia had no idea that was going to go anywhere. Absolutely no idea.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Comedy Divas podcast, where we welcome funny divas from the stage to the screen and behind the scenes to share their amazing journeys, because you know what? They aren't told enough. I'm your host and founder of Comedy Divas, Sharon Brathwaite, aka Sharon B. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a treat. I'm just excited. We have a treat. We have a very, very, very special diva in the house tonight. But before that, please like and subscribe and follow so we can send you and show you and tell you more stories. And let's just get it popping. We're going to bring her in right now. We have Angela Means. She's a comedian, an actress, an author, and a vegan chef. You may have seen her on Def Comedy Jam, Cousin Skeeter, House Party 3, and Friday. Bye Felicia. We'll get into that. So please welcome Angela Means. Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. My face hurts. I got my comedy diva.
Yes, you are. And I just want to get it started because we love to tell people's stories because you know what? They aren't told enough, especially from Comedy Divas. So let's get it started. How did you get started in comedy and where were you born?
I was born in Jamaica, Queens.
Big up New York.
Funkin' for Jamaica. We got 50 Cent. Play from Kid and Play. I found out on the set of House Party 3 that we were born in the same hospital. I'm sure most folks, most people of color was born in Queens General back in the day. I was born in New York. My mother was a nightclub singer. So she couldn't, I was unexpected. I wasn't planned. I was full of energy. I was wild. And she sent me to the farm with family and in Michigan, right outside of Ann Arbor. And thank God, it's a sliding door. What would have happened had I stayed in New York? What's happening now? I mean, I love my life. I love my work ethic. I was sent to the farm and I was raised a field hand. We grew feed corn for the other farmers. We grew soybean for Henry Ford. They used soybean for everything back in the day. They made, because it was a tough haul, they made tires to steering wheels. I got all my athletic ability from, just being a strong corn-fed country girl. And my endurance, like to do the things that I've done. And I'm not saying, there's so many New Yorkers that are out here jamming and doing their thing, but, I feel like I was swinging two bats and I just, and I didn't have my mother throughout most of my life, and I never had my father. So I think the universe put me in a situation, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I think it put me in a situation where I had to face reality and I had to be strong because everything I've done by myself. And then I moved to Atlanta in my late teens. And Atlanta's kind of where I grew up as a young adult, and I was able to say, oh, okay, this is life. Okay. Had me an apartment, started modeling, started, branching out into, young adulthood. And I was a pretty successful model in Atlanta. And then I was able to branch out to the rest of the world from.
Well, what kind of modeling did you do? And would we see you anything? Could we see you in something?
I did everything. Mostly runway, and I walked for Paulina Trujillo, Bill Blass, Bob Mackie,
Wow.
Estrada. I did the big collection stateside. I did some things overseas, but they were more trade stuff. Like my hair, they were really, really. My hair used to just be big and curly, and I did a lot of stuff with hair. Me and Garcelle um,
Bouvet.
Bouvet.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I always want to say Bouvier. Bouvet. We were the J.C. Penney girls. It was either her
Oh.
or me. So I mean I had a long run with J.C. Penney. I had a long run with Macy's. But it just wasn't feeling that need to just talk. And I mean I was the goofball. I was the only child on this farm where everyone had dumped their kids on this farm. And my uncle was like, yeah, bring them all. He needed workers. He needed field hands, but I loved it. I never resented, working.
And it's
So,
really full circle, which we'll get to later for your vegan lifestyle. So that's really
bam,
like a full circle life
look
moment
at
that you
you.
had.
Look at you.
I got you. I want to bring it back to how did you get
Okay.
to comedy? You were a model, you were traveling, and I wanted people to know your journey because someone may have a similar path to you.
So nobody put fingerprints on my brain. That's a Jimi Hendrix
Mm.
quote. Because I didn't have parents, I didn't have brothers and sisters, I was in the middle of all these kids. At one point, there was like 15 kids on the farm.
Wow.
And I was the only one who was an only child. They all had brothers and sisters. They were all, subgroups. So I had to be funny. And I was the only one that looked like this. My mother had a baby with a Jewish man, that
Mm.
went on about his business, you know, and I hate the stereotype where black men leave their babies because
Mm.
honey. So that's a whole other story. But I had to either fight or be funny. And I
Mm.
chose the latter because I didn't want my face messed up because I knew I was going to do something with it eventually. I didn't
Like
want
I'm
people to
too
say,
cute to fight. Mm-mm, no.
I'm way too cute to fight. And I told that joke to a director. She got mad at me. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm just saying
you
what
you
the
just keeping it
facts.
100. Yeah. How did you get to the stage? I mean, it's a scary thing. I respect all stand-up comedians because that is really scary being in front of all those people and people looking at you and waiting to just say something to you and heckle you and tell you about yourself. So how did you make that leap?
Absolutely. Um, so I was modeling in Atlanta. I was just always at a comedy club from the time I knew that there were comedy clubs. I just was a comedy connoisseur. So I signed up at the Funny Bone.
Okay.
I'm telling jokes because I'm just got too much energy. I'm too goofy. I'm too wild. I knew I didn't want to stay in fashion forever. I just didn't want to be in that world forever. I wanted to cut up. I wanted to cut loose. I just wanted to cut the cord and do what I wanted to do. I just wanted to talk and make people laugh and make people feel good. I didn't want to be, comedy divas, but I just didn't want to be a diva. I wanted to be the country goofball that I was. And comedy was going to let me do that. And I've always been creative. I've always been a writer. And I wrote a few jokes that were not funny, but I knew something was driving me. I saw Kim Coles
Mm,
on the Apollo. And
okay.
the Apollo, like, I watched the Apollo religiously to see the comedians. And when I saw her, I was like, I can do it. At the time, I was with someone. His family, they had money. I was working for the family. I was in this little hub, and then we didn't make it. And I was like, you know what? I, there's nothing stopping me. So
That's a great inspiration for you because people sleep on Kim Coles as a stand-up comedian. She brought it back in the day. She really, really, she's still funny to this day. Don't get me wrong, but people don't realize that she did stand-up, and that was her big thing as well.
and she was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw this pretty girl being silly and goofy, the white cheerleader, the black cheerleader,
Yes.
and her delivery and the way that people were accepting her, I was like, I can do it. I can do it. But it still took me, 2, 3 years to get through whatever cycle the universe had me in. I had to go through some things first to put these layers on me. Like you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, you do.
And nothing can be served before it's time. No wine, no comedy, nothing. It's all timing. Just be patient. Just go through your cycles of life. And I was in a particular cycle. So when I was able to do it, I just went for it. So I was always at the Funny Bone, the improvs, and I ran into a friend and I was inviting everyone. And she was like, no, 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 there's a black club coming to Atlanta. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, 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 let me hook you up. I went and I met the owner, Michael Williams. I walked in there with my looking like I just walked out of a Robert Palmer video, my black mini skirt, face beat. I had just come from a trunk show and walked in like I'm here. He looked at me up and down. He was like, well, I don't need any more comics, but can you wait tables? I was like, wait tables? What the hell? Now, mind you, I've been working my whole life, but he was like, no, 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 listen, hear me out. You've never been on stage before. It'll give you, a good education. You'll be in the club and you'll
Yeah.
be able to see everybody. You'll be in the mix. I was like, bet.
Comedian
So
school. You were in comedian school.
I was in comedian school and
Yeah.
I was making some coins, and it was, after a show I would come and I did everything in that club. Like because I did work, like I was working my tail off in that club. And then I just kept at him, kept on, can I go on stage? Can I go on stage? He was like, just wait, just wait. And then finally I just bugged him a little bit too much. He was like, okay, yeah, go on stage. Child, it was bad. It was really bad. It was so bad. And then that first time on stage was horrible. I got off stage and it was just like I couldn't hear anything. Everybody sounded like Charlie Brown's mother, and they just all kind of repelled. I think I went and got in my car and left my purse in the office, and I had to walk back through because my keys was in there. So I had to walk back through, and all my friends were just like, "Okay, well, we'll see you later." So when I came back in the next day to tell Michael, I'm not a comedian. And you better get you another waitress. I said all that, and he looked at me and said, come on in the office. So I was like, well, I'm gonna take off. He's like, no, come in now for a minute. He said, now listen, this is what I want you to do. You're going to be the warm up that brings on the host. Now tonight when you go on stage, I was like, Michael, I don't think you heard what I said. I'm not a comedian. He was like, no, no, no. Tonight when he wouldn't hear it. He said, tonight when you go on stage, all I want you to do is just welcome people as they come in. Ask them, do they have any birthdays? Are you celebrating anything? Are you from out of town? That's all I want you to do.
So that was
And
like
then
early crowd work, what they call crowd work now. That's what you were doing. Yeah.
that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I'm not doing that. I'm not a comedian. He said, well, I tell you what, if you don't go on stage tonight, you can't come back in here.
Wow.
And it was the hot spot in Atlanta when it first opened. There were lines wrapped everybody who was anybody. I mean, uh um Mayor Young would come. I mean, everybody was up in there. Dominique, Deion, everybody was up in there. And anybody who came to Atlanta, everybody was in there.
And
And I was
which club
like,
was this?
Comedy Act Theater.
Okay.
And that's a story in itself. And
Sounds like it. I mean, that was a who's who of everybody, sounds
it
like.
was a who's who of comedy, and it really set the tone in the career. It was Robin Harris's club that was in LA. They opened up a branch in
Okay.
Atlanta, and he
Okay.
was on his way there the morning after, but he died that night. But his flight was from Chicago to
Wow.
Atlanta. And when we got the
Wow.
news, it was just like, wow, but we still had to go on. Yeah. So when I
Wow.
saw
Talk about a
AJ,
legend. Yeah. Robin Harris. Wow.
I mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
that was the franchise from the club, that his home club in LA, Comedy Act Theater, which is, it's in the annals of black comedy folklore. Everybody came out of there. Joe Torre, D.L. Hughley, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, when he came to Atlanta, he'll tell you that's where he went to the mountaintop.
Wow.
I didn't want to be banned from the club because I loved it. I wouldn't. So he saw something in me, and later on he said, "Listen, anybody that has a nerve, the way that you look, you're obviously smart, and I knew that you would I wanted you to figure it out because I needed to produce quality people, out of this club."
Yeah.
And and he gave me notes. He was like, the one thing that he told me was write every day. That's why, girl, I don't care about no comedy thieves. They be getting into it. I don't care. I'm just, okay, you want that joke, take it. I'm going to write me some more.
Wow.
Because it's moment to moment. I mean, the comedy thievery was insane, but there's really nothing that you can do about it because once you tell a really great joke, they're going to go on the road and do it. And I was, girl, every other day somebody was coming to me saying, such and such is doing your joke, such and such. I don't care.
It's interesting that everyone has a different kind of philosophy about it. So it's interesting hearing your take on it about that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm going to keep writing because my mentor told me to write every single day, to try something new. It's got to be new. It's got to be fresh. And comedy is moment to moment. And I was pulling things out of my life, and my life was, I was a single model in Atlanta living the life. I loved my life, but it was always something, being this biracial goofball, and people look at me and they want me to be this diva-ish sort of snobby person, and I can't be that person. It's not. I grew up on dirt roads. I tell people all the time, I grew up, collecting eggs and coming in the house smelling like pennies and Pringles after being outside all day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just couldn't be that person. I wanted to be this. Mark Curry was the pinnacle for me. When he came, I was like, boom. Mark Curry and Ricky Harris. Mark Curry's physicality, he was from one end of the stage to the other. And I remember being on the Def Jam tour. I was on tour with Def Jam for 3-4 years, just nonstop. And I remember I covered, and he told me, he said, cover the whole stage. I remember going from one end of that stage and literally running to the other end, just telling, just filling the stage. It was so much fun, and sliding across the stage and just and going to my knees and jumping and flying and flipping. And
that's great because you don't see a lot of women doing physical comedy like that. So you were a breath of fresh air, I'm sure, to people. And now I'm going to jump ahead because Def Comedy Jam, people may not understand the enormity of it, how prestigious it was to be on there, how it was the end all, the be all for comedians. So how did you get on Def Comedy Jam?
I had a really great set. I had a really great Def Comedy Jam set. I mean, mine is still to this day one of the most memorable sets. You can quote throughout my set.
Absolutely.
It's quotable. And that's one of the bars of being a great comic, is that someone can quote your jokes.
Thanks, JB.
Right? So, and the director, Stan Lathan, wanted me to cross over. I was part of SLBG, which was Lathan, Simmons, Brillstein Gray. Brillstein Gray was the biggest management company.
The biggest.
Right? And when I met Bernie Brillstein, he just fell in love with me, and he was like, let's work with her. I worked my tail off. I'm a country girl. I work. People used to charge me with getting gigs because of my looks, or I was having sex with somebody, which I was not. I worked just as hard. Me and Dave Chapelle was one of the few comics that could do 4 sets a night.
Wow. That's amazing.
The hardest thing to do because you don't remember by the time you get to the 3rd set. I remember me and Dave talking, and I don't remember anybody else actually being able to do that. Your brain power has to be so tight to be able to do that, and to be that hungry and to work that hard. I mean, I drove all over the South. I would go work for chicken wings. I never got into fights with people promoters would be like, well, look, I'll give you some chicken wings. Fine, I'll take them. I don't care. The currency, people get caught up. Remember, they wanted to boycott the Comedy Act Theater. And I was like, I'm not boycotting the Comedy Act Theater, but they need to be paying us. They need to be paying us. The Comedy Act Theater is a showcase for me to come anytime I want to and work out new material. I can't charge. I need them to be there because the currency for me is my act.
Yeah.
Is my
Especially then. It was worth its weight in gold. Absolutely. You
worth its
having
weight in gold. And I
that
remember all these
material.
comics got together, and the main girl that did it, they said some horrible stuff about me because I didn't show up to this meeting. And the main girl was like, Michael Williams, the owner of the Comedy Theater, was nothing but a gentleman to me. He never hit on me. He understood that I was an ambassador for his business. So honey, he didn't need me. He had women. He had a different lady every night. So he didn't need to cross the line with me. And I remember one of the young ladies in the meeting, somebody came and told me, she said that I wasn't there. And she told them that I said, I can't help it if they don't suck good,
Damn.
Right?
Damn.
I mean, that's what I was dealing with during all of that, plus having to work, plus having to, anywho. Anyway, but I got to Def Jam because when I was in Atlanta, I had a couple of chuckles. And a lot of comics will do this. They'll get a couple of chuckles, and all of a sudden, I'm a professional comic. And comics, Buddy Lewis came in. I remember we were talking. I was like, yeah. So when I do my act, Buddy busted out and started laughing and said, what act? And I was like, woo! It got really, but if you accept things and you are truthful with yourself and you look at the truth, like I could have took that a whole other way, but I was like, oh my God, he's right. I got 3 minutes and I'm talking about an act. So that put the fire under me. And when Buddy came back, Buddy was like, damn, Ange. When he came back, I was getting standing ovations. That's right. What, had he not said that, I'd have been coaxing along, but that little spark.
He lit a fire.
He lit a fire. And when he got back, Sharon, let me tell you something. I worked so hard. Like, it wasn't just to be a comic. It was to show him that I did have an act. And when he got back, he was so humble and he was so gracious. And he was like, damn, Ange, you did it. So by the time when I got to Def Jam, like, I wouldn't have pushed myself to that if I was not ready, if I couldn't have handled it. Because the minute somebody said something, I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, whoa, hold up, nigga. Don't let this life get fooled.
Don't let it fool you.
I was ready. Like, I was so ready. I was busting out of the gates, ready for everything. So it wasn't just because I was pretty. It wasn't because I was sleeping with somebody, because I wasn't sleeping with none of them. It was because I had done the work.
That's right. Yeah. So I want to segue because, you were known for being a pretty woman. You're a comedian and everything, but then you do Friday. And
well, first it was House Party 3. It was House Party 3 first.
So what was it like working on House Party 3? And how'd you get that?
I'm from Dirt Roads. Here I am. I'm getting ready to marry a kid from Kid and Play. Like, right. Just even right now, it just still is like, oh my God. Like, listen, House Party 3, that era, the last couple of years of the 80s into the mid 90s was the Black comedy explosion.
Yes, it was.
And I was right in the middle of it. I had a front seat to it. And House Party 3 kicked it back off. It wasn't the original House Party. It was House Party 3 that kicked off all those Black films. And I was the female lead. And the way that I feel about right now is, you can say whatever you want to say about me. You can take any opportunity you want away from me, but you cannot take away my contribution, and the fact that I was there. I was there. I was right in the middle of it.
Absolutely.
I didn't do the partying. I wasn't on the scene. I wasn't here. I wasn't there. I didn't form those relationships because I am a homebody. I am a country girl. I am a little awkward. So I went to work and I came home, and I was still kind of modeling. So when I booked that job and I auditioned, and they wanted, someone that could pair with Kid. And, I went in and read, and Kid and I we just had a great time. I was literally infatuated with him. Like, it's like, right? It's like,
Right.
Kid. And he was so cute. He was so, 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 so cute. House Party 3, it didn't get any bigger. I remember sitting there, it got down to me and Vivica.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, and then Cousin Skeeter, Friday, Ice Cube, Kid and Play, like everything was just, it just came to me because I had done everything the right way. I had worked and I had accepted things. I didn't fight with people. I didn't create, I understood what my currency was, and there was symmetry with my career. So everything came as I wanted it. And when Friday came along, and when I read it, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. That's how the girl, remember in the podcast and her wig fell out?
Yes. My God.
Winnie, oh my God.
Classic clip. Yeah. And she's a comedian too. She's very funny. I don't know if you've seen her before.
Amazing.
She's very funny.
She is.
Props to her. Whitney.
And smart.
Whitney. She's very smart.
Whitney. Yes. I love her. So when I read it, I knew. And I was listening to the universe. I was completely open. I went in and I was her. I was her in that audition. I was her. I wanted it. And when I left, I knew I had it. I knew.
So let's keep it real. So did you hear about it and want to audition for it? Because you would think they would want you for like maybe the Nia Long kind of role. But how did that happen? Because you were playing around the way kind of Felicia.
Remember Halle Berry in Do the Right Thing?
No, she wasn't in Do the Right Thing.
Jungle Fever. I'm sorry.
Jungle Fever. Oh, when she played the crackhead. Yes. Right. Yes.
So there's this dichotomy when you see a pretty girl fall.
Spike wanted her to play his wife, to play the pretty girl, and she's like, "No, I want to play this because it's more of a challenge." Yeah.
And then, but there's so much depth to that, to see a pretty girl, and you can look at Felicia and see. I mean, I was walking for the biggest designers. I was, you could see that I was pretty. So there was more of a story. There was more like, what happened to this girl? Like, how does this girl not have any self-worth? How does she not have any social cues? How is she this? So when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I had been actors workshops. I had just been getting ready for this part. For 2 years, I had just been getting ready for Felicia. It was a really big part. People tell me, oh, you go too deep, girl. You be talking too deep about her. You don't get up my paradigm, my world, my life. I only had 3 scenes. And in each one of those scenes, I was method. I was working the craft. So when I first, no, it was just an audition that came from my agent. My managers didn't know that I went in for it.
Oh, really?
And no, Stan had no idea that I went in for that.
Do you think they would have stopped you?
They did.
Okay.
They did. And that was kind of, I crossed the line. I did cross the line. But when I went, she called me back to meet F. Gary Gray. And I'll never forget how he looked at me. And he was so cute. He was just so cute. And he blushed. He had like this blushy smile. And he, asked me about myself. He got me comfortable. And then we just went for it. And when I walked up out of there, I was like, that job is mine. So about a week went by, and I was walking the dog, and I was thinking about it. and I called the management office because they were the ones that would have had to, get the final, she's been booked, she booked it. So I called in, we're talking about stuff, and then before we hung up, I was like, oh, what about that Cube project? And she just said so cavalier, oh yeah, you booked it, but we passed.
What?
Yes. And they were just like, no, you're leading lady. You're the pretty girl. We don't see you in that, and this is our plan for you. And I couldn't see their plan. They couldn't see my plan. And I was like, I need you to get that script to me. I need you to make sure I don't lose this opportunity. And the next day the script was on my porch, and the rest is history.
Wow.
And then I knew that there was a let's just say I while I was shooting, I was 5 months pregnant at the premiere.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, Cube calls my son the Friday baby because he's the exact same age as Friday. My son's going to be turning 30 this year, and Friday turned 30 this year. So so I knew that I was okay. Like, I did the Pretty Girl, I did Def Jam, I did some episodic stuff, I did enough that soothed my soul. And I had this great man that I had this baby with, and I knew I would be okay at least for the next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew this kid was special, and I knew he was my next great thing. And he was reading sight words by the time he went to preschool. He was labeled gifted in first grade. I can go on and on and on about his accolades. I mean, he's really, really
Proud
magnificent.
mama.
Yeah. But not just, I'm just not just proud. Like, we did the damn thing with him. He's special. So, anywho, proud mama.
So while you were making it, did you feel something special about it? And were you surprised, even just later on, that Bye Felicia became a life of its own? It's a pop culture phenomenon in many ways, and it had a resurgence over the last few years.
Bye Felicia had no idea that was going to go anywhere. Absolutely no idea. I do know that I really, really enjoyed playing Felicia. I really enjoyed it because I created a bio on her. I put in her psychological background, her sexual background, her preferences. Did she like, pork chops or Salisbury steak? Did she like blunts or zigzags? I put all of that in and just let her rip. She was dyslexic. She had all of these things happen to her. She was the victim of abuse, all kind of abuse. Put all that in there. I played Felicia straight. Felicia was played straight. I didn't have to, I mean, my son tells me, and I always say this about my son, I needed a mentor and an advisor, so I raised one. My son is ingenious, so I talking to him about different things. He talked about this one project, and he said the script itself was a character, was one of the characters. If you look at Friday, the script was a character. If you can wrap that around your brain, me saying, "Can I borrow your microwave?" was a character. The lines were, I didn't have to put anything on. I didn't have to be like, "Yo, let me get that microwave." I didn't have to do any of that. All I had to do was say, I need to borrow your microwave. The only thing I put on it was right quick. Everything, she wanted everything right quick. Can I get this right quick? Can I get, let me borrow your car right quick. Everything was, she wanted to do it right quick. So I didn't have to do anything. I could really be. Acting is not acting. Acting is being. So I literally was her. So a few years ago, I did an interview. You guys hadn't seen me in 15 years talking about the character, and I cried. Well, let me just say, it was in the middle of my vegan restaurant run, which was a huge success. I kept that restaurant open for 7 years. I got a lot of people off of medications. I got a lot of people changing their lifestyle, losing weight. Like, I contributed in more than one way. So I was tired, first of all. I'm a crybaby, second of all. I mean, I was working 13-hour days because remember, I'm a farm girl.
Yeah.
I was raised a field hand, so I could do it. People, they didn't know. Like you look at me, you think, oh, she's sitting around painting her nails, sipping tea. But I work, I dig, and I work, I dig deep. So I was exhausted. And if you look at me in that video, you can see it. I'm drained, I'm beat up. And the day before I was reading something and I made a comment on something on a post and somebody responded, "Fuck you, you dirty bitch. You dirty bitch ass hood rat."
Damn.
Now nobody can just, you know, look, you can look over so many of these comments because they're just hurt people. But at
Yeah.
some point, you're tired. You're doing your best for your community. I'm trying to get your auntie and uncles off of meds, off of no one should be taking 15, 20 pills a day. And I can help them get off of it. And here somebody is calling me a low down, dirty bitch.
Mm.
Then when I hadn't
Jesus.
processed it yet. And when I said it in that podcast, it broke me. And I got choked up. I wasn't like, "Ugh," but I cried. Well, the internet did what the internet does and flipped the narrative that I didn't want to be Felicia. I was sad that I played Felicia.
Oh no.
That was the narrative. And I remember said this dumb nigga. She called me a nigga in her commentary of it and a stupid
Damn.
motherfucker. And I hope that one day her and I can sit down. But she called me. It was either a dumb nigga or this stupid motherfucker. When they only listened to the narrative that was created. And when I say it shot around the internet, it was on Yahoo, it was on USA Today that I was crying because I was Felicia.
I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm
It's,
sorry that
it's,
happened to you. Because you don't want that to be part of your legacy. Because especially now, because the internet, everything is so huge and things go viral and things get, people got clickbait and all that stuff. So that's
Absolutely, and that's
tough.
exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a comedy hype interview. And
Mm.
I'm just happy that it was in our community and he got paid off of that. He got
Mm.
paid off of that because when I tell you it shot around the internet and there were so many comments, there were so many, I mean, it was hyped for probably a month. They were talking
Wow.
about this interview and some of the biggest influencers, and they all drug me. They all drug me. And when I was talking
Oh.
about, creating this bio and, everybody's a pop culture aficionado, but they don't understand method acting. They don't understand what I was really telling them something concrete and real, how
Mm-hmm.
you develop, a character. And that's what I did. I developed a character and I had a great time doing it.
I love it. You got stories for days, and I appreciate you, telling us. I mean, we'll talk again, but I want to talk about your book. That's one
Yes, my
thing I want to
book.
talk about your book. So let's talk about that. What's the name of your book? See, we got you, girl. We got you.
Seven Sinners and the Angel Who Loved Them. And I wrote this story 20 years ago. This
Mm,
story, so I'm a numbers savant. And I look at your birthday. So all of the rappers back in the day who died, they were either born on a 7 day or died on a 7 day. And a 7 day is the 7th,
really?
the 16th, or the 25th. Easy E was born on the 7th. Pac was born on the 16th. Aaliyah, Selena, Left Eye, all of them born or died. And then, I mean, it just goes on. And Bobby DeBarge died on the 16th. Even particularly our royalty, the king of pop, the queen of soul, the king of rock and roll, the king of soul, James Brown died on the 25th. Um, 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 Michael Jackson died on the 25th. Aretha Franklin, born on the 25th. Etta
Wow.
James, born on the 25th. We just lost Dwayne Wiggins on the 7th. The king of rock and roll died on the 16th in 1977. And it just, even all those, Etta James, Billie Holiday was born on the 7th. Prince was born on the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I just was collecting all of this and didn't know what to do with it. And then the whole story downloaded.
Mm.
So it's described as a mystical final destination
Mm.
set in the music industry, steeped in numerology. So it starts out, a big star is killed on the set. Sonia is killed on the set, and these 6 people come together, much like my friends, the 6 people who come together. So 6 people come together to minimize their liability. It's people from the record label, the person that owned the car, because the car falls off of a rig and
Like some
kills
damage control.
damage control.
Mm-hmm.
So these 6 people come together. They devise a plan to pay off Sonia's mother, who's a Felicia, and they give her $2 million. So they come back together. You see them come back together. They're celebrating, that they've mitigated all their liability. You see them at the bar, and then from there, their fate, the tragedies start. And there's twists and there's turns. There's an angel who, the tone of this is sacrifice is inevitable. Sacrifice is inevitable.
Yeah,
So it's really a good book. I've had scholars to read it. They loved it. A woman, BA, master's in business. She just hit me up yesterday. She said, "Oh my God, this might be one of the best books I've ever read." I gave it to a librarian. She put 3 copies. She said, "We don't put this many copies in and it's got a waiting list until June." The book is phenomenal, and it's so
Turn it
pretty
around.
too.
Oh, you're showing the back? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm showing it back. There I is. There I
There-
is.
Hey.
I had the story for 20 years, but again, like, I'm not desperate for anything. Like, I don't have to do all of that.
So where
I
can
just
people find it? Where can they buy it?
go to angelameans.com, but
Okay,
it's
so your
wherever books
website.
are sold.
Okay.
But just go to my website, angelameans.com, and you'll see the backstory. And my cookbook is there. I've got a
Awesome.
cookbook, 85 vegan recipes you didn't know you craved. I really, that I'm really proud of. It's just simple recipes. I started a vegan restaurant in the hood on Crenshaw on 29th at the height of the vegan awareness. A lot of the documentaries came out, What the Health in particular, and I knew we wouldn't know what to do. So when my son went to, when he was drafted, he took his signing bonus and he opened Mom's Restaurant on Crenshaw and Jefferson.
You did good, Mama. What
I
a
did
good
good.
son.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
that's
got that
beautiful.
recipe book, and then I've got the sequel is already. I'm working on it. I'm already
Well,
liking
that's your
chapter
book,
1.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is.
This is your vegan book, your recipe book here that we have that you could
Yeah.
also get on your website, correct?
Yeah, yes. And
Okay.
the follow-up, Mushroom Cafe. So I'll be reopening, but I'm gonna do it here in Texas, in Austin. I'm just gonna do a little truck,
Oh, that's a
a
great
little,
spot to do it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I'm gonna start doing some comedy too.
Yay! Please. Yay. Keep us informed, and we'll
Okay.
post your stuff. We'll make sure people know when you're
Thank
touring, when
you.
you're doing your comedy, because that's what Comedy Divas is about. We're supporting Black women in comedy, women in color in comedy, because there are not enough outlets, there's not enough
Yeah.
support, and there's a lot of talent out there. So thank
Yes.
you so
And
much.
eyes
Before
nigger.
Mhm.
Don't let the light skin fool you. Eyes nigger.
That's Nick. Hey, I appreciate you taking so much time with us. This has been
Yeah.
amazing. You're so fun. You have such a great journey, great story. This is where we can find you. We're running. You have your website. Tell people we have it running, but tell people where they can find you on social media.
At Chef Angela Means. I'm most active on Instagram at Chef Angela Means. And then my TikTok is the Angela Means, Angela Means. But I'm most active on IG. But angelameans.com has everything.
Well, Angela Means, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being a legend. Thank you for being a pioneer in comedy. So one for the road. Bye, Felicia.
Oh, you stingy.
Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
have a blessed day.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Hi, that was Angela Means. She was amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time with us. We here at Comedy Divas really want to tell more stories. Give props to all of these women in comedy who have paved the way and done a wonderful thing. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. I'm Sharon B.
I don't want to be like, and Day Day Daddy don't like you, and Shay Shay Daddy don't like you.
can't.
Going to my knees and jumping and flying and flipping and for Craig, I need to borrow your VCR right quick. Okay, mother. You want to play with me? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. It got down to me and Vivica.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
So did. And he was so cute. He was so cute. Bye Felicia had no idea that was going to go anywhere. Absolutely no idea. I don't want to be like, and Day Day Daddy don't like you, and Shay Shay Daddy don't like you. Going to my knees and jumping and flying and flipping and for Craig, I need to borrow your VCR right quick. Okay, mother. You want to play with me? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. It got down to me and Vivica.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
So did. And he was so cute. He was so cute. Bye Felicia had no idea that was going to go anywhere. Absolutely no idea.